Hello, English 102, back here with another video. This one's on tone and style for Rogerian arguments specifically. And it's meant to not only be a recap of our previous lecture, but to be kind of a lead in to our tone and style quiz, which will be opening up here really soon. Be sure to check Blackboard for the specific date. Now, the tone and style for Rogerian argument should be, as it says below, fair, accurate, and objective. Remember, the goal in Rogerian argument is to advocate for a compromise. And to do that, you need to examine two different sides or perspectives from an argument. And we all know that in all the subjects we choose to write about, you're going to have personal feelings or beliefs that's going to lean you toward one side or the other. But many times, the notion of compromise, meaning taking a little bit from both sides and creating a solution that's not already there, is oftentimes the best solution. So to be able to reach those compromises and those middle ground solutions, you have to accurately, fairly, and objectively assess and write both sides. You obviously want your audience and that you don't necessarily have personal feelings toward one or the other. Now, we all do, but it is important in your writing for it not to come across that way. So PowerPoint is basically going to show you how to avoid coming across that way. So without further ado, let's get started. Two things we're going to be learning here are to write opposing viewpoints fairly, accurately, and objectively. And to do that, we have to know what diction and syntax comprises good tone and style for Rogerian argument. If you remember, diction is word choice, and syntax is how you arrange those words you choose to use into an effective sentence. This is a review from our set of slides on evaluating sources for Rogerian argument. If you notice, we had a four-step process for doing that. We're going to be focusing on the third here where our red arrows are pointing, where we are writing the rationale or the beliefs behind both sides using non-judgmental language. The key here is answering the question, what is their belief and why do they believe it? You don't want to answer the question, what do you think about their belief? So, in terms of general attributes of the tone and style for Rogerian argument, our writing should be fair, accurate, and objective. Those are the three terms that you're going to be hearing a lot when it comes to the tone and style of Rogerian argument. So to do that, we need to introduce sources from a neutral standpoint. You might imagine yourself as an undecided audience member, somebody who hasn't made up their mind on the issue. In order to lead them toward compromise, they're going to want to think that you're credible by staying neutral, by staying in the middle and not taking a side. Another way to do that is to be non-threatening, all right? Your audience should not think that they're being proven wrong or misrepresented. And so to do that, you want to diffuse the emotional situation that causes controversy. As we said, we all lean towards one side or the other on many different topics we choose, but we can always approach it in a non-threatening manner. We want to let the other side know that we're not trying to prove them wrong or misrepresent them or distort facts, all right? And we know that many times people take sides on these controversial issues on an emotional basis. So the key is to diffuse that emotional situation by approaching it in a non-threatening manner. And last, the best way of doing that is to represent positions and beliefs accurately. And so what you want to do is avoid exaggerating claims and using biased emotional language. And we'll see examples of that, as well as examples that were in your reading and writer's reference from page 89 to 112. So let's go over what diction and syntax comprises good tone and style, that comprises that fair, accurate, and objective tone and style that we want. Good diction re-expresses sources that state the side's ideas. So, much like when you're paraphrasing or summarizing for any paper, you don't want to just change around a couple of words and then it's fine. You want to re-express what that author is saying. You want to kind of put it in your own words. A great way of doing that is to read the original source, step away from it for about 5 to 10 minutes, however long it takes, and then go back to a blank piece of paper or a blank document on your computer and try and type what those ideas were. I guarantee that you'll read it, interpret it, convert it to your own words, your own language, and then you'll be able to kind of write it in your own words. That's a really good way of re-expressing. Furthermore, good diction attempts to get at the heart of the position. You want to ask, why does this side believe what they believe? Particularly, what are their beliefs and assumptions, particularly their core beliefs and assumptions? That's something that you want to get at with your words. You want to make sure your words represent those core beliefs and assumptions, using the right words that reflect that. And then is unbiased and non-judgmental. And be sure to clearly state what the side believes and not what you think about the belief. So we don't want to be casting judgment or passing judgment upon the side that we're writing about, right? So our language needs to reflect that. Good syntax or good sentences also re-expresses sources that state the side's ideas. They elaborate on that core belief or assumption. They don't just talk about what the core belief or assumption is, but they think about the natural or logical extension of that belief, right? What are behind those beliefs? What ideas or values empower or inform what they think? Good syntax goes into that a little bit. It also stays true to the original source or statement, emphasizing the what, how, and why of their position. Again, you don't want to distort facts from the other side, because then that may give away to your audience that you lean towards one side or prefer one. To be able to accurately present the ideas and beliefs behind both sides, we really need to zero in on what type of words we use or diction, and then how we arrange those in a sentence or syntax. So here's an example of how to do this. Let's say our thesis here is all introductory college English classes should have a significant and mandatory e-learning component. So we're exploring both sides of that argument, people who agree with that statement and people who disagree with that statement. Let's say people who agree with that statement believe that e-learning is integral to online research, which is a major part of introductory college English. On the other hand, people who disagree say e-learning is unnecessary for a subject that requires extensive face-to-face peer and instructor review. So the first thing we need to do is we need to indicate what side we're on. So seeing that our thesis supports e-learning, those that agree, we'll refer to them as the supporters. So we can take the phrase e-learning is integral, which is a statement of position. We can take that and condense it to supporters believe. It not only retools it to fit what we're doing, but it shows what side of the argument they're on without having to restate the thesis. With disagree, we can take the position e-learning is unnecessary and switch that to opponents argue. Again, it causes you not to have to repeat the thesis, and it lets your audience know what side that they're on in a very short and succinct manner. So we have to look at the rest of it, the position and the reason. We have to look at the rest of it, the reasoning behind the position, and we have to be able to rephrase that. That's where the big challenge is. Here's an example of this done right. Our reasoning for the agreeing side is e-learning is integral because it's a major part of introductory college English. We want to rephrase that, and we want to add a little bit more to that. We want to elaborate. Here's how we might do that. Supporters believe e-learning skills are crucial for modern academic writing because a significant amount of research in today's college English classes is done online. All right, we kind of specify what in English classes is mostly done online, which is research. So we kind of speculate and say, hey, the big idea behind this mandatory thing is so it'll enforce the major research component that goes into English classes. By doing that, it allows us to change up the phrasing a little bit and kind of advance the rationale and reasoning behind the other side. We change words out a whole lot. We talk about modern academic writing as opposed to college English, so we kind of expand it a little bit. And we do refer back to classes and how the work's done online to kind of stay true to the statement as well. Look what we've done over here to the disagreeing side. Their reasoning is e-learning is unnecessary for a subject that requires extensive face-to-face peer and instructor review. So we start off with our opponents argue. Opponents argue that e-learning activity will never truly replace the in-person interaction that is vital for the development of college students' writing skills. Here, what we've done is we've emphasized the difference between e-learning and in-person interaction. We see that in-person interaction is irreplaceable. You can't replicate it in an online platform. So we extend this position beyond the requirement to that it won't truly replace it. We get at the heart of the belief. And we talk about how it's important for college students' writing skills, that it's vital that you have that face-to-face interaction. We take this statement about how it requires extensive, which basically means it requires a lot of face-to-face peer and instructor review, and expand that to talking about not just how it requires a lot of that, but why it's important that that exists. So these are good ways of rephrasing not just the position and the subject, but the reasoning of both sides. If you notice, they're stated very bluntly, very plainly, and are fair, accurate, and objective reflections of both sides' ideas and beliefs. Here's an inaccurate representation. Let's take a look at the agreeing side. We've switched it to, it is clear that e-learning has the most important role to play in college English courses that have made the brilliant addition to online components. There's a few sets of words here that are problematic. I want to emphasize it is clear most important, and brilliant addition. When we're saying it is clear, we're saying that it's beyond doubt, that it's obvious, that it's indisputable, and we know that because we're considering both sides, that it's not. So using it as clear is very off-putting to begin with. When we say that it has the most important role, we say that e-learning has a more important role than anything else. That opens up an entire other spectrum of argument as to what the most important role to play in college English is. And again, we just want to focus on the differences between both sides, not what's most important when it comes to college English. And last, adding the adjective brilliant here obviously indicates what position you favor. By adding that adjective, it adds a little bit of sway. By taking out brilliant, it's a little bit less plain and it doesn't have that sort of sensationalist adjective. Same thing over here if they disagree. Our example is obviously no type of online learning can replace face-to-face learning. Any useful writing skill is communicated by work with students and professors. Let's take a look at obviously. Let's take a look at no type. And let's take a look at the word useful. Obviously kind of matches up with it is clear. It says that it's obvious, it's indisputable, that it's right there in plain sight, and anyone who doesn't understand it maybe is stupid or isn't able to perceive it. So that again is very an off-putting way to start, and you want to avoid that. By saying no type, we're being definitive, that there's no chance that online learning can replace face-to-face learning. And so we obviously want to be a bit more receptive. By saying no type, we're really kind of putting the axe down here and saying that there's no chance. It's a very unfair way of depicting the disagreeing side. And then last, the word useful here with writing skill. By saying that any useful writing skill is communicated by work with students and professors, we're saying that there's only a certain set of useful writing skills. Again, much like the most important role thing over here, we're making an argument about something else entirely. So we want to avoid doing that and misrepresenting the other side. And again, that's it, guys. Good luck on the tone and style quiz. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email, rrand0001@kcdcs.edu. Good luck and thank you.